The crystal glass hit the floor with a sharp crack that silenced the entire library. Camilla Winans stood perfectly still, the silver tray balanced in her hands, watching red wine spread across the white marble like spilled blood. Her uniform was spotless, her posture straight despite the heat rising in her cheeks. She'd been serving drinks for the past hour at this private family gathering, moving through the mansion's grand library with the practiced invisibility of someone who'd learned to exist in spaces without claiming them. "Oh my God," Sujin said, her voice dripping with mock concern. "Did you see that? She can't even hold a tray properly." Her friends erupted in laughter. 3 women in designer dresses, pearls catching the warm lamplight, their perfectly manicured hands covering their mouths in exaggerated shock. Sujin stood at the center of them, 24 years old, and radiating the kind of confidence that came from never having to worry about anything in her entire life. Camilla set the tray down on the nearest table and knelt to pick up the broken glass. Her fingers were steady. She'd been doing this job for 8 months now, and she'd learned that the worst thing she could do was react. Give them nothing. Let it roll off. Get home to Jasmine. That was all that mattered. "This is exactly why my brother should hire professionals," Sujin continued, louder now, making sure everyone in the room could hear. "But he insists on giving jobs to people out of charity. It's sweet, really, but look what happens." Camilla focused on gathering the shards, placing them carefully on a napkin. Her daughter's school play was in 3 days. Jasmine had been practicing her lines for weeks, walking around their small apartment, reciting them with such serious concentration that Camilla sometimes had to hide her smile. 7 years old and already so determined. She got that from her mother. "Are you even listening to me?" Camilla looked up. Sujin was staring down at her, arms crossed, one perfectly shaped eyebrow raised. "Yes, Miss Kang," Camilla said quietly. "I apologize for the accident. I'll have this cleaned up right away." "See that you do, and try not to break anything else. Those glasses cost more than you make in a month." The words were designed to sting, and they did. But Camilla had been stung before. She'd been a single mother, working 2 jobs for the past 7 years. She'd faced eviction notices and empty refrigerators and nights when Jasmine asked why they couldn't have things like her friends at school. This was nothing compared to explaining to your daughter why Christmas might be small this year, why the field trip had to be skipped, why Mama couldn't come to the school concert because she had to work. Camilla gathered the last of the glass and stood, napkin in hand. She turned toward the kitchen and froze. Jung Ho stood in the doorway. She didn't know how long he'd been there. His expression was completely neutral, the kind of careful blankness that powerful men wore when they were deciding something important. He was 32, tall and lean, in an expensive suit that probably cost more than her entire year's rent. His dark hair was styled back from his face, and his eyes were the kind of brown that turned black in certain lights. He was also her employer, the man who'd hired her 8 months ago when she'd shown up for the interview with Jasmine in tow because her babysitter had canceled. He'd taken one look at her daughter sitting quietly with a coloring book in the waiting area and told his assistant to give the kid some cookies. Then he'd offered Camilla the job on the spot. "Sujin," he said now, his voice low and controlled. "My office, now." The temperature in the room dropped about 20 degrees. Sujin's smile faltered. She glanced at her friends, then back at her brother. "Oppa, I was just... now." She'd never heard him use that tone before. None of them had. Jung Ho was always measured, always calm. He ran his business empire with strategic precision, and he treated his household staff with distant but consistent respect. This was something else entirely. Sujin's face flushed. She shot Camilla a look that promised this wasn't over, then followed her brother out of the library. Her friends exchanged glances and quietly began gathering their things, the party mood thoroughly destroyed. Camilla stood there holding a napkin full of broken glass, feeling like she was the one who'd shattered something irreparable. Before we continue, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a story like this one. Trust me, you'll want to see what happens next. The walk to Jung Ho's office felt like a funeral march. Soo-jin kept her head high, but her hands were trembling slightly. She'd pushed boundaries before, tested limits, thrown tantrums when she didn't get her way, but she'd never seen that look on her brother's face. Jung Ho closed the door behind them and gestured to the chair across from his desk. Soo-jin sat, crossing her legs, trying to reclaim some of her earlier confidence. "You're overreacting," she started. "It was just a joke. She's fine." Jung Ho walked to the window, looking out at the manicured gardens below. When he spoke, his voice was quiet, which somehow made it worse. "Do you know why Father built this house?" Soo-jin blinked. "What does that have to—" "Answer the question." She shifted in her seat. "To show that we'd made it, that the Kang family had arrived." "No." Jung Ho turned to face her. "He built it to remind himself of where we came from. Every single brick, every piece of furniture, every painting on these walls. He chose them carefully because he remembered what it was like to have nothing. He remembered being looked down on, dismissed, treated like he didn't matter. That was different. He was building a business. We're established now. And that gives you the right to humiliate people? To treat them as less than human?" Soo-jin's jaw tightened. "She's the maid, Appa. I didn't say anything that wasn't true. Those glasses do cost more than she makes. I was simply stating a fact." Jung Ho moved closer, and Soo-jin actually leaned back in her chair. "Her name is Camilla Winans. She's 28 years old. She's raising a 7-year-old daughter by herself, while working here full-time and studying for her degree online. She's never been late, never complained, never asked for special treatment. And tonight, she was humiliated in front of a room full of people because you needed to feel superior. How do you know all that about her?" The question hung in the air. Jung Ho seemed to realize he'd revealed more than he intended. He stepped back, composing himself. "I make it my business to know the people who work in my house," he said carefully. "And I expect my family to treat them with basic human dignity. That's not negotiable." Soo-jin stood up, her own anger finally breaking through. "You've been acting strange for weeks. You're distracted all the time. You canceled dinner with the Kim family. You cut short your trip to Tokyo. And now I find out you know every detail about the maid's life? What's going on? That's none of your concern. It is, if you're making a fool of yourself over the help." The words were out before she could stop them. Jung Ho's expression went completely cold. "Get out," he said quietly. "Appa, get out of my office. And Soo-jin, if I ever hear you speak about Camilla that way again, you'll be finding your own place to live. Am I clear?" Soo-jin stared at him, tears of frustration burning her eyes. She wanted to argue, to make him see reason, but the look on his face told her this conversation was over. She turned and left, slamming the door behind her hard enough to make the paintings rattle. Jung Ho stood alone in his office, his hands clenched at his sides. He'd handled that badly. He knew it. But the sight of Camilla on her knees, cleaning up broken glass while his sister mocked her, had triggered something primal in him, something protective and fierce that he'd been trying to ignore for the past 2 months. It had started small, a conversation about the weather, a question about whether she'd like the kitchen staff to prepare anything special. Gradually, he'd learned more. That she took the bus 2 hours each way to get to work. That her daughter loved reading, but the library near their apartment had limited hours. That she was saving up for a better school district, a safer neighborhood, a future where Jasmine wouldn't have to struggle the way she had. And somewhere along the way, listening to her talk about her dreams, with that quiet determination in her voice, Jung Ho had started falling for her. He walked back to the library. The guests had all left, and Camilla was on her hands and knees. He's scrubbing wine out of the marble floor. She looked up when he entered, and immediately started to stand. "Please," he said, raising a hand. "Don't get up. Let me help." "Mr. Kang, that's not necessary." But he was already kneeling beside her, taking the cloth from her hand. Up close, he could see the tension in her shoulders, the way she was holding herself together through sheer force of will. "I'm sorry," he said quietly, "for my sister's behavior, for putting you in that position. You shouldn't have had to experience that." Camilla took the cloth back, gently but firmly. "It's not your fault, Mr. Kang, and I'm fine. Really. You're a terrible liar." She looked at him then, really looked at him, and he saw something flash in her eyes. Not anger, exactly. Something more complicated. "With respect, sir, you don't know me well enough to know when I'm lying." "Don't I?" The question came out softer than he intended. They were still kneeling on the floor, close enough that he could smell her perfume. Something simple and clean, probably drugstore brand. But on her, it smelled better than anything his sister's designer bottles could produce. Camilla stood abruptly. "I should finish cleaning this." Jung Ho stood too. Something fell from her pocket as she moved. A photograph, bent at the corners from being carried around. He picked it up before she could. It was a picture of a little girl with her mother's smile and bright, intelligent eyes. She was wearing a school uniform and holding a certificate of some kind, beaming at the camera. "Your daughter?" he asked, even though he knew the answer. Camilla took the photo back carefully, like it was made of something precious and breakable. "Jasmine. She got perfect attendance last semester. She's beautiful. She has your smile." Camilla's expression softened for just a moment. "She's the best thing I ever did. The only thing I'm proud of, really." "I find that hard to believe." She looked at him curiously. "Why?" "Because you're here, working full-time, studying for your degree, raising a daughter alone. Most people would have given up, found an easier path." "There is no easier path when you're a single mother," Camilla said simply. "You just do what needs to be done." Jung Ho wanted to say more, but Camilla had already turned back to her cleaning. He watched her work for a moment, then quietly left the library. When he reached the hallway, he pulled out his phone and sent a quick message to his assistant. The next morning, Camilla arrived at work to find an envelope pinned to the staff bulletin board with her name on it. Inside was a check for $5,000 and a simple note written in neat, masculine handwriting. "For your daughter's education. J.H." She stood there for a full minute, staring at the check like it might disappear if she looked away. $5,000. That was Jasmine's private school tuition for the entire year. That was new shoes and winter coats and maybe, possibly, a real birthday party with her friends. That was also charity from her employer, and Camilla had sworn a long time ago that she'd never accept charity again. She found Jung Ho in his home office, working through a stack of contracts. He looked up when she knocked, and something in his expression told her he'd been expecting this. "Mr. Kang, I need to speak with you." "Come in. Close the door." She did, then held out the envelope. "I can't accept this." "Why not?" "Because I didn't earn it." Jung Ho set down his pen. My sister's behavior last night was unacceptable. It reflected poorly on this household and on me as the head of this family. Consider it an apology. I don't need an apology that costs $5,000. But you do need $5,000. The words were blunt, but not unkind. Camilla felt heat rise in her cheeks. How I manage my finances is my business, Mr. Kang. You're right, I apologize. He stood and walked around the desk. Let me rephrase. I'm offering you a bonus for 8 months of exemplary service. You've never been late. You've handled every task with grace. And you've maintained professionalism even when my family has made that difficult. This is compensation you've earned. It was a good argument, almost convincing. But Camilla had been poor long enough to recognize a handout dressed up in fancy words. I can't accept charity, she said firmly. It's not charity, it's accountability. They stood there in his office, the envelope between them like a challenge. Jung Ho's phone buzzed with an incoming call, but he ignored it. Please, he said quietly, your daughter deserves every opportunity. Don't let pride get in the way of that. It was a low blow, and they both knew it. Camilla felt tears prick her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. Not here, not in front of him. Fine, she said, but I'm paying you back. Every cent. I'll have my salary reduced each month until… Absolutely not. Then I can't accept it. Jung Ho ran a hand through his hair, a gesture of frustration she'd never seen from him before. You're the most stubborn woman I've ever met. I've had to be. The door opened, and Soo-jin walked in without knocking. She stopped short when she saw Camilla, her eyes narrowing. Am I interrupting something? Yes, Jung Ho said flatly, but Camilla was already moving toward the door. I was just leaving. Excuse me, Miss Kang. She brushed past Soo-jin and disappeared down the hallway. Jung Ho watched her go, his jaw tight. You're being weird about the maid, Soo-jin said, closing the door behind her. Her name is Camilla, and this conversation is over. No, it's not. Soo-jin moved closer, studying her brother's face. You have feelings for her. Jung Ho said nothing, which was answer enough. Appa, please tell me you're not that stupid. She's the help. She's beneath us. Father would never… Father is dead, Jung Ho said quietly, and he taught me that honor matters more than status. You seem to have forgotten that lesson. Soo-jin's face flushed. I'm trying to protect you. If the family finds out, if the business associates find out, there's nothing to find out. I'm simply treating a valued employee with respect. But the lie tasted sour on his tongue, and from the look on Soo-jin's face, she didn't believe him either. Over the following weeks, something shifted in the Kang household. Jung Ho started having his morning coffee in the library instead of his office. Coincidentally, the library needed dusting every morning at 9. They didn't talk much at first, just exchanged polite greetings. But gradually, conversations started. He asked about her online classes. She was studying business administration, taking courses whenever Jasmine was asleep, fitting homework into the gaps between work and motherhood. Why business? He asked one morning. Camilla was dusting the higher shelves, balanced on a small ladder. Because I want to run my own company someday. Something small, maybe, but mine, where I make the rules and I treat people the way they deserve to be treated. That's ambitious. Is it? She glanced down at him. Seems pretty basic to me. Work hard, treat people right, build something that matters. Jung Ho smiled. It was the first real smile she'd seen from him, and it transformed his whole face. You're right, he said. It should be basic, but it's rarer than you'd think. He told her about taking over the family business after his father died, about trying to transition from the old ways to something more legitimate, about the constant pressure from family elders who wanted things done the traditional way. They think I'm soft, he admitted, that I don't have what it takes to lead. Are they right? The question was bold, maybe too bold, but Jung Ho didn't seem offended. I don't know yet, he said honestly. I'm trying to build something different, something I can be proud of. But change is hard, especially when you're fighting against decades of tradition. Camilla climbed down from the ladder. My grandmother used to say that being strong doesn't mean being hard. It means knowing when to bend and when to stand firm. Your grandmother sounds wise. She was. Raised me after my mother passed. Taught me everything that matters. There was a story there, Jung Ho could tell. Pain and loss and survival. But before he could ask, his phone rang. Business, always business. After he left, Camilla stood alone in the library, feeling like she'd crossed some invisible line. This wasn't just employer and employee anymore. This was something else. Something that made her heart race, and her stomach flutter, and her common sense scream warnings. She had a daughter to think about, a future to build. She couldn't afford to fall for her boss, especially not one from a world so different from hers that they might as well be living on different planets. But when she got home that night, there was a package waiting at her door. Inside were children's books, beautiful hardcover editions of classics. Jasmine's eyes went wide. Mama, where did these come from? Camilla looked at the note tucked inside. Every child should have access to good books. J.H. A friend, she said quietly. Jasmine hugged the books to her chest, already reading the back covers. Camilla watched her daughter and felt something crack in her carefully built defenses. The next morning, she found Jung Ho in the library and said simply, "Thank you for the books." She likes reading. She loves it. Already finished 2 of them. His smile was worth more than the books themselves. Soo-jin noticed everything. The way her brother's mood had improved. The way he actually laughed during family dinners now. The way he seemed distracted, checking his phone at odd times, smiling at messages no one else could see. She asked around, carefully, and the other staff members were loyal, but they weren't blind. They'd seen Jung Ho and Camilla talking in the library. They'd noticed the books, the bonus, the way he looked at her when she wasn't watching. Soo-jin's friends confirmed her suspicions over lunch one afternoon. Your brother's been different lately, said Yuna, one of her closest friends. Happier. Is he seeing someone? I think so, Soo-jin said carefully, but it's complicated. Complicated how? She couldn't say it out loud, couldn't admit that her brother, the head of their family, was falling for the maid. The humiliation would be unbearable. Just complicated, she repeated. Yuna leaned in conspiratorially. Well, whoever she is, she's good for him. I haven't seen Jung Ho smile like that in years. But Soo-jin wasn't smiling. She was calculating. Because if Jung Ho went through with this, if he actually pursued something with Camilla, it would destroy everything. Their family's reputation, their business relationships, the carefully maintained image of the Kang family as Seoul's elite. She had to stop it, for Jung Ho's own good. The plan came to her over the next few days. A charity gala, a public event where all the right people would be watching. And Camilla, forced to work it, reminded of her place in the social hierarchy. Soo-jin knew exactly what she was doing. It was cruel, yes, but sometimes you had to be cruel to be kind. She announced the gala at dinner one night, watching Jung Ho's reaction carefully. I'm hosting a fundraiser for the children's hospital, she said. 2 weeks from Saturday. I'll need all the staff working that night. Jung Ho looked up from his meal. That's short notice. Make sure anyone who can't work gets advance warning. Of course, Appa. But when Soo-jin sent out the schedule, she made sure Camilla was assigned to work, and she made sure it fell on the same night as Jasmine's school play. Camilla stared at the schedule posted in the staff break room, her heart sinking. Jasmine had been practicing for weeks. She'd made Camilla promise to be there, to sit in the front row, to clap the loudest. She found Soo-jin in the sitting room, going over guest lists with her assistant. "Miss Kang, I need to request the evening off on the 23rd. Soo-jin looked up, her expression innocent. "Oh, is something wrong?" "My daughter has a school play. I promised I'd be there." "I see. Unfortunately, this is a major event, and I need all hands on deck. Perhaps your daughter's school will record it. I'm sure she'll understand." Camilla's hands clenched at her sides. "I've never missed one of her performances." "Then this will be a good learning opportunity for her. Life is full of disappointments. Better she learns that early." The casual cruelty of it took Camilla's breath away. She wanted to argue, to fight back, but she needed this job. Jasmine's school tuition, their rent, the online classes, everything depended on this income. "Yes, Miss Kang," she said quietly. That night, Camilla called her neighbor, Mrs. Chen, and asked if she could take Jasmine to the play. Mrs. Chen agreed immediately, but it didn't make Camilla feel any better. When she told Jasmine, her daughter's face fell. "But Mama, you promised." "I know, baby. I'm so sorry. But Mrs. Chen will be there, and she'll record the whole thing for me." "It's not the same." "I know." Jasmine was quiet for a long moment, then hugged her mother tight. "It's okay, Mama. I know you have to work." The forgiveness made it worse somehow. Jung Ho was in Tokyo on business, overseeing the opening of a new office. He texted Camilla occasionally, simple messages about how the trip was going, asking about her classes. She didn't mention the gala or the school play. It felt too personal, too close to the line they'd been carefully avoiding. The night of the gala arrived cold and clear. Camilla put on her uniform and took the bus to the mansion, checking her phone obsessively. "Mrs. Im Chen sent updates. We're at the school. Jasmine looks beautiful in her costume. The play is starting." Camilla blinked back tears and entered through the staff entrance. The library had been transformed. Crystal chandeliers blazed overhead. White-clothed tables held elaborate floral arrangements. Seoul's elite moved through the space in designer gowns and tailored suits, their laughter mixing with classical music from a string quartet. Camilla served champagne, moving through the crowd with practiced invisibility. She spotted Soo-jin, holding court near the fireplace, surrounded by admirers. Their eyes met briefly. Soo-jin smiled. The evening wore on. Camilla's phone buzzed in her pocket, Mrs. Chen sending photos from the play. Jasmine in her angel costume, wings spread wide, face lit up with joy. Camilla ducked into the hallway to look at the pictures, her vision blurring. When she returned to the library, Soo-jin was waiting. "Everything all right?" she asked sweetly. "Fine, Miss Kang." "Good, because I need you to serve the VIP section. Try not to spill anything on anyone important." Camilla took the tray of champagne flutes and moved toward the cluster of guests near the window. She recognized some of them from news articles, business leaders, politicians, old money families who'd been part of Seoul's elite for generations. She was serving drinks when it happened. Soo-jin moved past her, supposedly reaching for a glass, and caught the edge of the tray. Red wine arced through the air and splashed across Soo-jin's white designer dress. The entire room went silent. "You clumsy idiot!" Soo-jin shrieked. "Do you have any idea how much this dress costs?" Camilla stood frozen, the tray still in her hands, staring at the red stain spreading across white silk. I'm so sorry, she managed. I didn't. You did this on purpose. You've been jealous of me since the day you started working here, haven't you? Jealous because you'll never be anything more than hired help. People were staring, whispering, pulling out phones to record the scene. Camilla felt like she was drowning, unable to breathe, unable to think. Miss Kang, please, I would never. You're fired. Get out of my brother's house. Now. The words rang through the library. Camilla's hands started shaking so badly she had to set the tray down before she dropped it. Tears burned her eyes. She wanted to defend herself, to explain what had actually happened. But her throat was too tight to speak. The library doors opened. Jung Ho walked in. He was supposed to be in Tokyo. His flight wasn't scheduled to return until tomorrow. But there he was, still in his travel clothes, his hair slightly disheveled, his eyes taking in the scene with sharp precision. Camilla, tears streaming down her face. Soo-jin, wine-stained and triumphant. The crowd of spectators, phones out, capturing every moment of her humiliation. What's going on here? His voice cut through the whispers like a blade. Soo-jin turned to him, her expression shifting to wounded innocence. Appa, I'm so glad you're here. This woman threw wine on me deliberately. I've tried to give her chances, but she clearly can't handle the responsibility. Camilla. Jung Ho looked directly at her, ignoring his sister completely. Tell me what happened. Camilla's voice shook when she spoke. Miss Kang asked me to serve drinks. I was doing that when the wine spilled. She's lying, Soo-jin said quickly. She's been resentful for months. Everyone can see it. Jung Ho turned to the nearest guest. What did you see? The woman, clearly uncomfortable, glanced at Soo-jin, then back at Jung Ho. I'm not sure exactly. It happened very quickly. He asked 3 more people. No one had a clear answer. Of course not. They'd been too busy recording the aftermath to notice the actual incident. Jung Ho pulled out his phone and made a call. Security, send me the library camera footage from the past 10 minutes. Soo-jin's face went pale. Appa, that's not necessary. It absolutely is. They waited in terrible silence. Camilla stood there, he wanting to disappear, wishing she could be anywhere else. At Jasmine's school play, at home, anywhere but here, being humiliated in front of Seoul's elite society. Jung Ho's phone buzzed. He watched something on the screen, his expression growing darker with each second. When he looked up, his eyes were cold. The gala is over, he said to the room at large. Thank you all for coming. Please leave. Appa, you can't. Now. His voice left no room for argument. The guests began filing out, some disappointed to miss the drama, others relieved to escape the tension. Within 10 minutes, the library was empty, except for Jung Ho, Soo-jin, and Camilla. Jung Ho turned to his sister. You deliberately bumped into her tray. The cameras caught everything. Soo-jin's composure cracked. So what? She shouldn't have been. You scheduled this event on her daughter's school play. How did you know about that? Because I pay attention. Jung Ho's voice rose. Then he visibly controlled himself. You deliberately created a situation where she'd be humiliated, where she'd have to choose between her child and her job. Why? Soo-jin's eyes filled with tears, but they were tears of anger, not remorse. Because you're making a fool of yourself over the help. You talk about her constantly. You know everything about her life. You're distracted all the time. Don't you see what this looks like? What people will say? I don't care what people say. Well, you should. You're the head of this family. Your reputation is our reputation. If people find out you have feelings for the maid, her name is Camilla. The shout echoed off the library walls. Jung Ho took a breath, lowered his voice. Her name is Camilla Winans. She's a human being who deserves dignity and respect. And yes, I have feelings for her. But that's my business, not yours. The confession hung in the air. Camilla's breath caught. She'd suspected, hoped maybe, but hearing him say it out loud made it real in a way that terrified her. Soo-jin looked between them, understanding dawning. You're serious. You actually... with her? What I feel is irrelevant, Jung Ho said, though his eyes flickered to Camilla. The point is that you deliberately caused this situation to hurt someone who's never done anything to you. That's unacceptable. Father would never approve of this. She's beneath us. Father taught me that honor matters more than status, that how you treat people in vulnerable positions says everything about your character. You've forgotten those lessons, Soo-jin, and until you remember them, I think you should find somewhere else to live. Soo-jin stared at him in shock. You're choosing her over me? Your own sister? I'm choosing basic human decency over cruelty. If you can't see the difference, that's your problem. Soo-jin grabbed her purse and stormed out, leaving Jung Ho and Camilla alone in the destroyed library. Champagne glasses sat abandoned on tables. The string quartet's music stands stood empty. Wine stained the marble floor. Jung Ho turned to Camilla. I'm so sorry. You should never have had to endure this. Any of this. Camilla was shaking now that the adrenaline was wearing off. Your sister was right about one thing. I can't work here anymore. I understand, but first let me drive you somewhere, please. Mr. Kang. Jung Ho. My name is Jung Ho. She looked at him properly then, really looked at him, saw the exhaustion in his eyes, the tension in his shoulders, the way he was holding himself together through sheer will, just like her. Where would we go? She asked quietly. Your daughter's school. The play can't be over yet. Fresh tears spilled down Camilla's cheeks. You came back from Tokyo early. I had a feeling something was wrong. I should have trusted that feeling sooner. They drove in his car, expensive leather and new car smell, so different from the bus she usually took. Jung Ho didn't try to fill the silence with empty conversation. He just drove, one hand on the wheel, occasionally glancing over to make sure she was okay. The school auditorium was small and crowded with proud parents. They slipped in through the back doors, just as the final act was beginning. Camilla spotted Jasmine immediately, her angel wings slightly crooked, her halo bobbing as she delivered her lines with serious concentration. Camilla's hand flew to her mouth. She'd made it. She was here. Jasmine finished her lines and looked out into the audience. Her eyes found her mother in the back row, and her whole face lit up. The smile was worth everything, worth the humiliation, the fear, the broken glass and spilled wine. Jung Ho stood beside Camilla, watching her watch her daughter, and felt something shift in his chest. This woman had endured so much tonight, and she was still here, still standing, still finding joy in her daughter's triumph. After the play, Jasmine ran to Camilla and threw herself into her arms. Mama, you came. Mrs. Chen said you had to work, but you came anyway. I wouldn't miss it for the world, baby. Jasmine pulled back and noticed Jung Ho for the first time. Her eyes went wide. Are you Mama's boss? Camilla started to answer, but Jung Ho knelt down to Jasmine's level. I'm Jung Ho. Your mama works very hard, and she talks about you all the time. She does. All the time. She's very proud of you. Jasmine beamed. Did you see me in the play? I did. You were the best angel up there. That's what Mrs. Chen said too. Jasmine looked at her mother. Mama, can Mr. Jung come to the celebration? Mrs. Yuan Chen brought cupcakes. Camilla hesitated, but Jung Ho smiled. I'd be honored. if it's okay with your mama." They sat in the school cafeteria with Mrs. Chen and a handful of other families, eating grocery store cupcakes and drinking watered-down punch. Jasmine talked non-stop about the play, the rehearsals, the drama when one kid forgot their lines. Jung Ho listened to all of it with genuine interest, asking questions, laughing at the right moments. Watching him with her daughter, Camilla felt her carefully built walls crumbling. This wasn't her boss. This was just a man who'd rushed back from a business trip because he had a feeling something was wrong. A man who'd defended her in front of Seoul's elite. A man who was now wearing a paper crown that Jasmine had insisted he try on. Mrs. Chen leaned over and whispered, He's a good one, that one." "It's complicated," Camilla whispered back. "The good ones usually are." When it was time to leave, Jung Ho drove them home. Jasmine fell asleep in the back seat, her head resting against her mother's shoulder, still wearing her angel wings. Jung Ho pulled up outside their apartment building. It wasn't much, a plain brick structure in a neighborhood that was safe enough, but definitely not fancy. Camilla saw him taking it in and felt a familiar shame creep up her spine. "It's not the Kang mansion," she said quietly. "It's home," Jung Ho replied. "That's worth more." Camilla carefully lifted Jasmine, who stirred but didn't wake. Before she could get out, Jung Ho spoke. "Camilla, wait. I need to be honest with you." She settled back into her seat, Jasmine's weight warm and solid in her arms. These past weeks," Jung Ho continued, "getting to know you, talking with you in the library, it's changed something in me. You've changed something in me." "Mr. Kang." "Jung Ho." "Jung Ho," she corrected softly. "I have feelings for you too. But this can't work. Your world, my world. They're too different." "Are they, though?" "We both know what it's like to carry responsibility, to make sacrifices for the people we love, to try to build something better than what we were given. You're the head of a powerful family. I'm a single mother working as a maid. You're a woman working 2 jobs while raising a daughter and studying for a degree. You're strong and dignified and kind. You face every challenge with grace. That's who you are. The rest is just circumstances." Camilla felt tears building again. "What about your sister? Your family? They'll never accept this." "I'll handle them. But I need to know. If there were no obstacles, would you want this? Us?" The question hung between them. Jasmine shifted in Camilla's arms, making a small sleepy sound. "Yes," Camilla finally admitted. "If there were no obstacles, yes." "But there are obstacles, Jung Ho. Real ones. I have to think about Jasmine first, always. I wouldn't respect you if you didn't." He reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope. 2 months severance pay. You don't work for me anymore, Camilla. When you're ready, if you're ready, I'll be here. As your equal." Camilla took the envelope with shaking hands. "I can't. You can. You've earned this. And more than that, you deserve time to figure out what you want without the pressure of employment hanging over you." "Why are you doing this?" Jung Ho smiled, sad and hopeful at the same time. "Because you've shown me what real strength looks like. The least I can do is give you the freedom to make your own choice." Camilla got out of the car carefully, balancing Jasmine and the envelope. She turned back to look at Jung Ho through the open door. "Thank you," she said, "for tonight, for coming back, for everything. Thank you for letting me be part of it." She watched him drive away, then carried her sleeping daughter upstairs to their small apartment. After tucking Jasmine into bed, wings and all, Camilla opened the envelope. Inside was a check for more money than she'd expected, along with a note in Jung Ho's handwriting. "Take the time you need. I'll wait. That night, lying in her own bed, Camilla let herself imagine a different life, one where obstacles didn't matter, where a Korean-American business leader and an African-American single mother could build something together without the weight of judgment and expectation. It was a nice dream, but dreams didn't pay rent or put food on the table. The next morning, she started job hunting. 3 months passed. Camilla found work at a small marketing firm, entry-level but respectable. The pay was better than the Kang mansion, and the hours let her be home for Jasmine's bedtime. She doubled down on her online classes, determined to finish her degree. Jung Ho texted occasionally. Simple messages. How are you? How's Jasmine? Saw a book I thought she'd like. Camilla responded politely but carefully, maintaining boundaries. She heard through Mrs. Chen, who heard from a friend who worked at the mansion, that Soo Jin had moved out, that Jung Ho had been different lately, quieter, more focused on legitimizing the family business. Camilla tried not to think about him, failed spectacularly. One evening, her supervisor called her into the office. Camilla's heart sank, expecting criticism or worse, but instead she was offered a promotion. "You've impressed everyone here," her boss said. "Your work is excellent, and you have a real talent for this. We'd like to promote you to junior account manager." The raise was substantial, enough for a better apartment, better school district, maybe even some small luxuries. That night, Camilla took Jasmine out for ice cream to celebrate. They sat in a park as the sun set, watching other families play. "Mama, can I ask you something?" Jasmine said, chocolate ice cream on her chin. "Of course, baby." "Do you ever talk to Mr. Young anymore?" Camilla's spoon paused halfway to her mouth. "Sometimes. Why?" "I liked him. He was nice, and you smiled a lot when he was around." "I smile all the time." "Not like that. It was different. Like you were happy, not just regular happy." Out of the mouths of 7-year-olds. "It's complicated, sweetie. You always say that. But Mrs. Chen says if something's worth having, it's worth fighting for, even if it's complicated." Camilla pulled her daughter close. "When did you get so wise?" "I'm almost 8, Jasmine said seriously. "I know things." That night, after Jasmine was asleep, Camilla made a decision. She pulled out her laptop and sent Jung Ho a message. "Are you free Saturday afternoon?" His response came within minutes. "For you? Always." They met at a coffee shop halfway between their neighborhoods. Jung Ho arrived first, nervous energy making him check his phone every 30 seconds. When Camilla walked in, his heart stuttered. She looked different, more confident somehow. Her hair was different, pulled back in a sleek style. She wore a simple dress and a smile that made his throat tight. "Hi," she said, sliding into the booth across from him. "Hi, you look beautiful." She blushed. "Thank you. You look good too." They ordered coffee and sat in awkward silence for a moment. Then Camilla took a breath. "I got promoted," she said. "Junior account manager at a marketing firm." Jung Ho's face lit up. "Camilla, hey, that's incredible. Congratulations. The pay is good, really good. Enough that I can support Jasmine and myself comfortably. I'm almost done with my degree too. 1 more semester. I'm so proud of you. I wanted you to know because when you offered me that severance, you said you'd wait. That when I was ready, you'd be here as my equal." Jung Ho's hand tightened around his coffee cup. "I meant it. I know you did. But I need you to understand something. I'm not your equal, Jung Ho, and you're not mine." His face fell, but Camilla continued quickly. "We're different people from different worlds with different experiences. We'll never be equal in that way. But maybe that's okay. Maybe we don't need to be the same to be partners." Hope flickered in his eyes. Partners. I've been thinking a lot these past few months about what I want, what kind of life I want to build for Jasmine, what kind of example I want to set for her. She met his gaze directly, and I realized that running away from something good because it's complicated is the wrong lesson to teach her. What are you saying? I'm saying that if you're still willing to try this, slowly, carefully, with Jasmine as the priority, then I'd like to try too. Jung Ho reached across the table and took her hand. It was the first time they'd touched intentionally, and the contact sent electricity up Camilla's arm. I'm willing, he said quietly. Whatever pace you need, whatever boundaries you want, I just want to be part of your life. There are going to be challenges. Your family is my problem to handle, not yours. People will judge us. Let them. Jasmine has to come first. He always. I wouldn't have it any other way. Camilla squeezed his hand. Okay then, let's try. They spent the next hour talking about logistics, taking things slow, keeping it private at first, letting Jasmine adjust gradually. Jung Ho told her about his business, the progress he'd made legitimizing operations, the resistance he still faced from old guard family members. Camilla told him about her job, her classes, the small victories and daily struggles of single motherhood. When they left the coffee shop, Jung Ho walked her to her car. In the parking lot, he hesitated. Can I see you again? Maybe all three of us? I promised Jasmine I'd come to her next school play. Camilla smiled. She'd like that. She still talks about you, you know. Asks when Mr. Jung is going to visit again. What do you tell her? That you're a friend, someone important to Mama. Am I? Important to you? Camilla looked at him, really looked at him, at the hope in his eyes, the vulnerability he was letting her see. Yes, she said simply, you are. 2 weeks later, Jung Ho attended Jasmine's spring concert at school. He sat between Camilla and Mrs. Chen, applauding loudly when Jasmine's class sang. Afterward, they went for pizza, and Jasmine chattered happily about her upcoming birthday. I'm going to be 8, she announced proudly. That's almost a teenager. Not quite, Camilla laughed. But close, and I want a birthday party this year, a real one, with decorations and games and cake. Camilla and Jung Ho exchanged glances. With her new salary, Camilla could actually afford it this year. I think we can make that happen, baby. Jasmine's eyes went wide. Really? Hey, can we have it at a park? With balloons? Absolutely. The party planning became a family affair. Jung Ho offered to help with decorations. Mrs. Chen volunteered to bake the cake. Camilla organized games and sent invitations to Jasmine's classmates. On the day of the party, the weather was perfect. Warm sun, light breeze, blue skies. Jung Ho arrived early to help set up, hanging streamers from trees while Camilla arranged tables. You're good at this, she observed, watching him tie balloon bouquets. I had practice as a kid. Soo Jin's birthday parties were always elaborate productions. It was the first time he'd mentioned his sister in months. Camilla touched his arm gently. Have you talked to her? A few times. She's trying. Living on her own has been good for her, I think. She started volunteering, actually, at a women's shelter. That's wonderful. She asked about you. Wanted to know if we were... He trailed off. What did you tell her? That you're important to me, that I'm trying to be worthy of your time. Camilla's heart swelled. You don't have to earn anything, Jung Ho. You just have to be yourself. The party was a success. 15 children running wild, playing games, eating cake with more frosting on their faces than in their mouths. Jung Ho got roped into being the villain in a game of tag and threw himself into the role with surprising enthusiasm. Watching him chase shrieking children around the park, Camilla felt something settle in her chest. Something warm and right and terrifying. Mrs. Chen appeared at her elbow. "You're in love with him." It wasn't a question. Camilla didn't bother denying it. Is it that obvious? Only to anyone with eyes. Question is, what are you going to do about it? I don't know. It's still so new, and there's Jasmine to think about. And his family. Always complications with you, Mrs. Chen interrupted fondly. But here's what I see. I see a man who drove across town to hang balloons for a child's birthday party, who plays tag with second graders, who looks at you like you hung the moon, and I see you looking back the same way. It's scary, Camilla admitted quietly. The good ones always are. As the sun started setting and parents came to collect their children, Jasmine ran over to her mother and Jung Ho, cheeks flushed from running. "Best birthday ever," she declared. Jung Ho knelt down to her level. "I'm glad you had fun." Jasmine hugged him suddenly, fiercely. "Thank you for helping. Mr. Jung. You're really good at being at parties." Over Jasmine's head, Jung Ho met Camilla's eyes. The moment stretched, waited with everything they weren't saying in front of an 8-year-old. Later, after everyone had left and the park was clean, Jung Ho walked Camilla and Jasmine to their car. Jasmine yawned widely, exhausted from excitement. "Get some sleep, birthday girl," Jung Ho said. "Will you come to my next birthday too?" Jasmine asked sleepily. Jung Ho looked at Camilla, asking silent permission. She nodded. "I'd be honored," he said. After buckling Jasmine in, Camilla turned to Jung Ho. They stood in the parking lot as evening settled around them. "Thank you," she said, "for today, for all of it. Thank you for letting me be part of it." There was so much more to say, in so many conversations they still needed to have. But standing there, in the fading light, Camilla realized something important. She didn't need to have everything figured out right now. She just needed to take the next step. "Jung Ho?" "Yes?" "Would you like to come to dinner next week? Nothing fancy, just the three of us, at our apartment." His smile could have powered the whole city. "I'd love that." The dinner became a regular thing, once a week, then twice, then whenever it felt right. Jung Ho learned that Jasmine was obsessed with dinosaurs, and that Camilla burned everything she tried to bake. Camilla learned that Jung Ho had a terrible singing voice, but sang anyway while doing dishes. Jasmine learned that Mr. Jung was really good at homework help, and told funny stories about growing up. Slowly, carefully, they built something together. 6 months after the coffee shop conversation, Camilla graduated with her degree. Jung Ho and Jasmine sat in the audience, cheering louder than anyone when her name was called. After the ceremony, Jung Ho presented her with flowers and an envelope. "What's this?" Camilla asked. "Open it." Inside was a job offer for a marketing position at one of Jung Ho's legitimate business ventures. The salary made her gasp. "Jung Ho, I can't—" "Before you say no, let me explain. This position has been open for 2 months. We've interviewed 8 candidates. You're the most qualified by far. Your work at the marketing firm speaks for itself." He took her hands. "This isn't charity or favoritism. This is offering a qualified candidate a job she's earned." Camilla looked at the offer letter, then at Jung Ho, then at Jasmine beaming beside him. "Can I think about it?" "Take all the time you need." That night, she called her supervisor at the marketing firm and asked for advice. Her boss was surprisingly supportive. "It's a good opportunity, Camilla. Better than what we can offer you here. If you're worried about perception, don't be. You've proven yourself. Take the job." Camilla accepted the position. On her first day, Jung Ho made a point of introducing her to the team as their new senior marketing manager. nothing more. Professional boundaries firmly in place. But after work, when she picked up Jasmine from after-school care, Jung Ho was waiting in the parking lot with takeout, and that smile that still made her heart race. "Congratulations on your first day," he said. They ate dinner in her apartment. Their apartment, really, since Jung Ho had been spending so much time there. Jasmine fell asleep on the couch between them, her head on Jung Ho's shoulder. "She's comfortable with you," Camilla observed quietly. "I'm comfortable with her too. With both of you." Camilla leaned her head on his other shoulder. "I never thought I'd have this. A partner, someone who shows up, who stays. I'm not going anywhere. Promise?" "Promise." A year after their first coffee shop meeting, Jung Ho took Camilla and Jasmine to a park by the river. It was the same park where Jasmine's birthday party had been, and Camilla recognized the setup immediately. Balloons, streamers, a picnic spread. "What's all this?" she asked. Jasmine giggled, clearly in on the secret. Jung Ho took Camilla's hand and led her to a spot overlooking the water. Jasmine stayed back and bouncing with excitement. "Camilla Wienans," Jung Ho began, his voice steady but his hands shaking slightly. "A year ago, you took a chance on me, on us. You let me into your life, into your daughter's life, and you've made me happier than I ever thought possible." Camilla's breath caught as Jung Ho knelt down. "I know we've talked about taking things slow, about being careful, but I'm sure about this, about you, about us, about the family we're building together." He pulled out a small box. "Will you marry me?" Tears streamed down Camilla's face. She looked at Jasmine, who was nodding enthusiastically, then back at Jung Ho. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, absolutely yes." Jung Ho stood and pulled her into his arms. Jasmine ran over and wrapped herself around both their legs, creating a three-person hug that felt like home. "Gee, does this mean Mr. Jung is going to be my dad?" Jasmine asked. Jung Ho knelt down to her level. "If that's okay with you." "It's very okay. Can I still call you Mr. Jung, though?" "I like it." They all laughed through their tears. Later, after the celebration, after Jasmine had finally fallen asleep clutching her new stuffed dinosaur that Jung Ho had hidden in the picnic basket, Camilla and Jung Ho sat on her apartment balcony. "Your family," Camilla said quietly. "They still don't approve, do they? Sujin's coming around. The elders. They'll adapt or they won't. It's their choice." He took her hand. "You're my family now. You and Jasmine. That's what matters. It won't be easy. The good ones never are." Camilla laughed, recognizing Mrs. Chen's words. "She's going to be insufferable when we tell her. She's been predicting this for months." Smart woman. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the city lights below. Somewhere in the distance they could hear traffic, life, the constant motion of the world. But up here, in this moment, everything was still. "I love you," Camilla said. Simple words, but they held everything. "I love you too, both of you." The future stretched ahead of them, full of challenges and complications, and the inevitable difficulties of blending their different worlds. But as Jung Ho pulled Camilla close, and she let herself relax into his embrace, she thought about her grandmother's wisdom. Being strong doesn't mean being hard. It means knowing when to bend and when to stand firm. She'd bent when she needed to. She'd stood firm when it mattered. And now, finally, she could rest in the knowledge that she'd found someone who would stand with her through whatever came next. Behind them, through the open balcony door, they could hear Jasmine talking in her sleep about dinosaurs and birthday parties and her new dad. The sound made them both smile. This was worth fighting for. This complicated, imperfect, beautiful life they were building together. worth every obstacle they'd overcome and every challenge still to come. If you enjoyed Jung Ho and Camilla's story and want to see what happens next with the family and the wedding, let me know in the comments below. Should we continue their journey? And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories about love, courage, and second chances. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.